Hello and welcome to this week's Warrior Mindset Live. A huge welcome as you join us. Say a big hello. If you're watching this back on replay or YouTube, comment #replay. Let us know your thoughts, what resonated with you. What do you do? I would love to hear. And of course, from the get-go, if this is something that you think, do you know what, my friend needs to hear this, my work colleague needs to hear this, invite them to the group if you're watching it here in the Facebook group. So a huge good evening. Hi Kim, hi Karen. So tonight we're going to be looking at the topic of 3 things that I believe you must know before you jump ship and go and start a new career. So the one thing that keeps coming up at the moment, and I shared this in the previous post, is this time of year brings up a lot of what are my New Year's resolutions? What do I want in life? And am I happy? That's our ultimate goal in life, really, isn't it? Ultimate fulfillment and happiness. And we spend, majority of people who work in the workplace spend an average of 50% of their waking hours in the workplace. 50% of their waking hours in the workplace. If you aren't happy, if you feel dragged down, if you feel out of alignment with what you're doing, and that's affecting you physically, in your mental health, your overall well-being, your happiness, that's no doubt not only impacting you, but having a massive effect on those around you and beyond. I talk a lot about us being the pebble in the pond. And this can be a real positive thing when we're stepping into our light, when we're doing what feels good to us, what feels like our passion or our purpose. That light naturally ripples out and affects the people around us. It just does. Our energy, everything. We know, don't we, when we're surrounded by people that feel good, it makes you feel good. Whereas if you're not, what tends to happen is we see people come home, they're taking it out on their spouse, their kids, they comfort eat, they smoke, they drink, they become more addicted to the likes of social media, gambling. There is a huge correlation between being unhappy, in particular in the workplace, and addictions. Huge correlation. It's actually a big trigger point for a lot. In therapy, whenever we do any kind of regression and look at what those trigger points were, a lot of it can come from the workplace. Obviously, we go all the way back to the likes of childhood and things, but in our conscious waking life, then our work environment and our work life has a huge impact on our health. So I'm going to be sharing 3 things. The number one thing that I'm going to be sharing with you is like my ultimate secret weapon that I use with my clients. I was like, people are asking for this topic. So the number one thing that I'm going to recommend that you do if you are ever looking at changing career, before you start just scrolling through job sites, LinkedIn, asking friends and family, let me know if anything comes up at your work. We all know someone, or we've been there myself, like I've been there myself, and I'm like, anything comes up at your place, just let me know. That's when we're like, I need out. So the first thing that I'm going to recommend that you do is reverse engineer it. So forget thinking, what career do I want? I know, bear with me. Forget thinking, what career do I want? What am I good at? What qualifications do I have? Forget all of the literal stuff first. I'm going to recommend the first thing that you do is reverse engineer. And I do a really powerful visualization exercise where I guide my clients through their ideal day. And anyone who watches this back that's ever done this with me, I want you to comment below because you'll know how powerful this is. This has created huge shifts and transformations in career. So if you start by thinking or ideally visualizing with no limitations, with no expectation, judgment or anything, What time are you going to wake up? What does your day look like? Are you leaving the house? Where are you having breakfast? Are you staying at home? If you are leaving the house, how are you commuting? What kind of place are you going to? Is it an office? What's the environment like? It may not be an office. What do you do throughout the day? Can you picture? Can you see yourself? How are you feeling during that day? What time are you finishing? How are you getting home if you're not already at home, if you're working from home? Not at any point am I saying, what are you doing? It just isn't relevant. We want to see what comes to you and what comes through you. It's a really, really powerful exercise. And there's been, gosh, I can't even begin to think how many people have been through this and had huge light bulb moments. Then we begin to build around that. So that's a really powerful exercise for you to consider or try. And there was one in particular client who was like, in a morning, I want to wake up, and she gave this specific time. She wanted to pull a card of inspiration or do it like a tarot reading for herself, like an inspiration reading. She wanted to meditate, and she wanted to have time to go on a nice walk and take her son to school. She left her office career and now does exactly this. I wrote down another one. Mondays, that was it. I had a client last week and we were on about her career and how different that is for her now and how she's really in her power. And when I said, so what's the structure like for you now? And she was like, well, I've done it. My Mondays now are my catch-up day. So I go through my emails, I do my grocery shop, I take my dog out, I just basically get set up for the week. That's her Monday. Then her Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday are her work days. And then Friday is her personal development and growth days. That's when she might go to do some tennis. That's when she'll put her head down into a course which she's doing. She'll read, and I stopped her after and I was like, listen to what you just said. Listen to what you just said. And it was so inspiring because once upon a time, that was just a dream to be able to say, I want to take Mondays and Fridays for me and then just work between that. And she was like, oh my gosh. So it's totally doable. And when you reverse engineer, what do you want your life to look like? How do you want to feel? Then you've got a foundation to begin to build on. The step number two that I'm going to recommend is that's when you start to think, what makes you tick in life? What excites you? What lights you up? And what makes you sick, and in particular focusing on career. So what really lights you up and then really what doesn't, like what will you categorically avoid? Obviously we want to be sort of looking around that place of career. And then I made some notes just before. Yeah, literally, what makes you tick, what makes you sick? And from there, here's the thing, because a lot of people jump straight in with the strengths. A lot of people want to know, what am I good at? What are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? What are my qualifications? Haven't even come into this yet. Now, I know for a lot of people that'll be like, well, I spent 8 years studying, or I have got this background. We don't want to put you in any form of box before we've figured out you. Before we've actually taken away the name badges, taken away the previous careers, taken away the qualifications, you, your gifts, your energy. Because if you discover something else that lights you up, you have the ability to go and do that. Whether that is retraining. For some people, it's like, oh my God. If it's meant for you, so many people have gone back into education whilst working and transitioned into their dream career. Other people have gone, do you know what? I know it. I've already got the background. I just never utilized those skills, and they stepped into it. So I'm definitely going to recommend what makes you tick, doing a bit of a list, what makes you sick, and what from there are your strengths. Then lastly, if you can't find a path for you. So if you're someone who's sat now going through Indeed and LinkedIn and all of this lot, you can't find a career after doing this. If you could create one, what would that look like? For me, I created mine. I could not. I was going to the job centre. I was looking left, right and centre. Couldn't find exactly what was meant for me. So I created it. It took, no doubt, a little bit longer than just going for an interview and being like, yes, tick, got the box, I start on Monday. I got the job, I start on Monday. For me, it was like, what lights me up? How do I want to work? I knew I wanted to work from home. I knew I wanted security for the future. So for me, my values, that meant that I was my own boss. I wanted to be able to have a family and work around my family, which I now do. And the last thing for me that I did, this is very personal, I didn't just jump ship straight away. I carried on working, doing what I was doing. My background was in like singing, dancing, choreography, fitness, that side of things. And I was working alongside, getting my qualifications, gaining years of experience with clients, doing talks up and down the country, overseas, going live every single week. I've kept doing these lives. This must be my 5th year of doing these. Never stopped it. And we've got over 1,000 members if you're watching in the Facebook group. Before that, I had other groups as well. And you can create something for you if it's not there. So never think, oh, everyone else is out there doing their thing, I wish I could do that. You will no doubt have exactly what you need within you. And that is simply the ability to take the initiative, to take that first step. You haven't got to have everything mapped out immediately. The key thing, because this is where the likes of manifestation comes in, that's how I found, is when I was like, do you know what, I'm going to let go of the how. How am I going to be able to do this? How am I going to be able to afford a mortgage? How am I going to be able to save up for my new car and this and that? And okay, I'm just going to do what feels good. And I'm going to do it with the people that make me feel good and I make them feel good because we resonate. I'm going to travel, I'm going to share, I'm going to light my passion and share it with the world. Sounds really cliche, doesn't it? You don't have to be a coach to do that. I get asked this all the time. This is the last little thing. I get asked this all the time. I want to do what you do because you look so happy. You look like you've got this light. You look like you have a very, very, very different life to me. And no doubt if you're seeing somebody else do that thing, it may be that sparks inspiration. Absolutely. I work with a lot of coaches and people that are transitioning from one career, maybe into coaching or similar areas, but definitely not just coaches. Like, there's so many opportunities either out there or ones that you can create where services are needed, where products are needed. We live in a very vast, abundant world. If there's something that you want for yourself and it's not created, it's exactly what I did with the Warrior Band. I didn't want to use a CBT rubber band because it hurt and it was ugly. So I created it. And that is now a staple part of my business. It wasn't there, I created it. Anything you can begin to picture, you have the ability to do. You might not know it right now, but we have access to the internet. It used to be, when I first started my journey, it was like, when I used to listen to loads of personal development stuff, you have access to libraries. It was kind of before the big Google and YouTube was like big as it is now. But you have access at your fingertips to anything you could possibly imagine when it comes to research, when it comes to creation. We just do. So if you are sat there now and you're thinking, because like I looked through before 7 people in the last 2 weeks come forward with, I'm looking for a new career or I want a new career. The next phrase, but I have no idea where to start. Or I don't know what I want to do. Literally of those 2 things. I was like, wow, we're back into that phase of what do I want my new year to look like? What am I doing with my future? So I'm really hoping that those 3 tips help you to begin to expand your imagination, to begin to maybe light a bit of a fire in you. And of course, if you want to chat about any support, just get in touch. So yeah, that is what I'm going to love you and leave you with tonight. So what's Emma said forms such a massive part of my toolkit, that band. Oh, Emma, I love that. That's amazing to hear. Absolutely love that. So thank you for joining us. Really, really great to see you. And of course, if you're watching this back on replay, hashtag replay. If there's anyone that you think could do with hearing this, if you've overheard someone recently saying, I don't know what I'm doing with my career, or there's something within me, but I don't know what, share it with them, invite them to this group, or tag them. You just don't know who needs to hear it. Can't wait for the extra coloured bands. I know, Regan, I promise they are coming. And along with more for the younger age as well. It's happening, I promise. So sending you so much love, Kim. I'm so glad to hear this. So glad to hear this. Yes, blessings to all. Sending you so much love, and I will see you on the next live. Take care.